Do you have creative goals that you would like to take action on, and yet you need a little bit more help moving forward? Do you need a boost of wise insight and new ideas to expand your insight and your mindset? If so, today's video is one you're sure to enjoy. Today, I'm sharing 3 nonfiction books which have had massive impact in getting me to take action and move forward on my creative goals. Now, only one of the 3 books is explicitly about creativity, and yet they all 3 delve into the topic in interesting and refreshing ways. Hi, I am Rachel Stravelli. I believe that your success and your happiness depend on you accepting and appreciating your whole self. I support your radical self-acceptance of you. I'm an expert garden coach, writer, and supporter of your creative expression. I have a master's in soil science and over a decade as an educator, which means not only do I have a good wisdom about the natural world out there, I'm great at helping bring out the potential in others like you. I create videos every week that help you to cultivate and accept who you are, that help you to cultivate your creative expression. There are expert interviews, tapping into our wisdom, videos about gardening, living in harmony with nature, and inspiring ideas and tools to get you to feel grounded in a sometimes wacky, crazy world. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button below and tap the notification bell so you can stay up to date whenever a new video comes out. Now, all of these 3 books I have read since the pandemic began and the quarantine, and several of them are a few years old. So no matter what your budget or where you access your books, you'll be able to get them either at your local library or new bookstores or used bookstores. I think 2 of these I bought used and 1 I bought new. All right, so the 3 that I'm going to be talking about are Dr. Wayne Dyer's I Can See Clearly Now, Playing the Matrix by Mike Dooley, and you can tell I have a toddler here. You see those doodles? And Turning Pro, Tap Your Inner Power and Create Your Life Work by Steven Pressfield. So you may have heard of Steven Pressfield. He wrote The War of Art. That's probably his most famous book, and I actually haven't read that yet. But this book, which I love, even though I'm a big reader, it's really exciting and refreshing when I get a book that is so narrow and so thin. And here's the crazy thing. You can see the spot where my bookmark is. I actually have not finished this book yet, and I'm being intentional about that. I'm savoring it. I've also been using this book very specifically to galvanize myself to action when I'm feeling a lull and a lack of creativity, or like, I just don't want to do my creative thing anymore. I don't want to do whatever it is that's a project I'm working on. I will pick this up because he has this real no nonsense, a little bit of kick you in the butt attitude to get you working on your creative project. So I won't give away all the nuggets from this nonfiction book, but one of the things that Steven Pressfield does is he really clearly distinguishes between what is an amateur and what is a pro, and how if you are staying in the amateur space with what you're working on, then you are playing it safe and you're not letting yourself move into this zone where you can really clearly develop what are potentially your greatest gifts. Now, he doesn't mean amateurs aren't good at things and pros are good. That's not how he distinguishes it. It's more how, if you're familiar with, Gay Hendricks talks about zone of genius, or I think he also has another thing that's like the zone that's below that, or maybe he calls it spiral now. So your zone of genius is where you can develop the greatest insights and the greatest depth and the amazing things that are only you. But then there are other comfortable spaces where you can do things that you're really well qualified at, and people encourage you at it, or they love what you're doing, but you know it's you playing safe. Like, it doesn't feel like you're pushing any boundaries. It doesn't ever make you feel like, oh, I wonder if I can do this. And what he really encourages you to do is to move into whatever creative, whether it's pure creativity or like a creative business venture or something at work or something in your personal life, move into the creative thing that really pushes you into this zone where you are growing and expanding and delving into your life's work. So I highly recommend. And as I said, if you're the type of person who doesn't actually have a lot of time to read, or you would like something where literally, I'll show you, you can pick this up and read a page or two. I don't know if they're technically chapters or what, and then move on. He's made it so it's very potent, just to get a few little bites out of it like that and then move on. And as I said, that's why I haven't finished it yet. So I highly recommend this. Early on into the quarantine, I ordered this book for myself because I'd been meaning to read it for a while. I knew I wanted to commit myself to my writing even more than I had before, and I knew I needed something to push me a little bit further. This book did that in an afternoon. And I think I read like a third of it in one sitting. The other great thing about it is if you have kids running around during this quarantine time, you know, writing on your books, it's very easy to just read a few pages and then put it down. Okay, so the next book I'm going to talk about, Playing the Matrix by Mike Dooley. So if you are into law of attraction and manifesting and you haven't read Mike Dooley yet, I highly recommend this book. Again, this is actually, I would kind of call this on the shorter side of how books go. And, you know, not every page is super filled with words. And he actually has a lot of diagrams, because the matrix is something that Mike Dooley has identified for essentially like a framework or a technology, a way of understanding how manifesting works. The subtitle is A Program for Living Deliberately and Creating Consciously. So the last book I mentioned, that one very specifically talks about creativity. This is creativity in the broader sense, that everything you're creating in your life is creative. Mike Dooley's, one of his big one-liners, if you want to call it that, is he always talks about thoughts become things, which I love because it's catchy and it's potent. And so when you're reading this book and thinking about thoughts becoming things, it lets you engage with the ideas of how can you use your thoughts and your feelings and formulate the things that you want to occur in your life. Because any of these things that I have in here, they were once a thought in someone's mind. And then I once had a thought in my mind, well, let me bring that into my life right now. And so he really shows you how you can use your thoughts and how you can take your feelings and your thoughts and go broad with it, not specific. That's another one of his big ideas, to bring into your life what you want more of. From a brain science perspective, which I don't think he delves into, but I'll share with you anyway, when you are presenting your mind with the ideas of things that you're looking for in your life, essentially you're activating what's called your reticular activating system. What that means, that's the filtering system in your brain that tells you what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to. So if I was car shopping and I brainstormed and thought about all the kinds of cars that really fit my lifestyle, and then I start visualizing it and think about it, as I go through my life, I'm going to be noticing cars more. When other people are talking about cars, my ears are going to perk up. Similar to how when somebody says your name, your ears perk up, even if you don't know who those people are. So similarly, with the things that you want in your life, when you connect to what are the feelings that you want and then visualize and dream some of these scenarios that would create those conditions. So like if I want happiness and success and a best-selling book, and I'll think about all of those things, and then I spend some time visualizing and daydreaming, then if I'm in line at the grocery store and the person beside me is talking about a book editor or a book agent, or one of my friends on a phone call is talking about it, my ears perk up. And I have noticed over the past year, since I'm really more focused on working on my book and trying to finish it, it's like I get really hyper focused whenever anyone says, oh, so-and-so is a book agent. I'm like, really? Really? Can you get me in touch with them? Can we talk? Because when I'm ready, maybe they're the kind of person who will help with that. It's happening because I have primed my mind to pay attention and notice when that comes up. Let's say you're getting into golf or swimming, then every time people are talking about, oh, have you tried such and such a golf course? Oh, this is a great place to swim. Your ears are already peaked and they're perking up when you hear people talking about that. The third book I want to share with you is by Dr. Wayne Dyer. This is his autobiography, and it's called I Can See Clearly Now. So if you're familiar with Dr. Wayne Dyer, many of his books are teachings, him sharing things. One of his books, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Excuses Be Gone. He's got, in the beginning of this book, you can see a list of his books and audiobooks, and the list goes on and on and on for 2 pages. So, and if you're into personal or spiritual development, you've probably heard his name because he's one of the biggest names in that world, in the top 3. He's now passed on, but for much of my life and many other people's lives, he's such a leader and front runner in how can we self-actualize to our full potential? How can we expand our minds? How can we move beyond excuses and limiting beliefs to become more of who we are? The great thing that I really got out of this book was some of the same reasons that people will read other biographies of great leaders, great thinkers. When you hear what a person's life was like and some of the events that led up to until you were introduced to this person, you get a broader picture of their life experiences. It also made me aware, of course, he was amazing, even in his early days in various aspects, but yet he talks about and walks us through the ways in which he consciously made choices and took risks and built his career. Because if you look at what his career is now, or like the list of 40 books I show you, it's easy to be like, well, oh my gosh, he was always so amazing and successful, and how will I ever be like that? But the great thing is to remember, everybody starts out a baby. Everyone starts out a child. Everyone starts out with no resume, no books written, and what we build of our lives is different for each of us. And so I loved hearing about some of the different experiences of his life. Even though I've read many of his books and listened to many of his talks, there were still many stories he told in here that I had never heard anywhere else before, that were fun and insightful. And because I also want to inspire people and help encourage your growth, encourage your potential unfolding, I felt that he was supportive of me, the wind beneath my wings, if you will. And if you like Wayne Dyer, and you resonate with some of the things that he shared or some of his other books, I definitely think that this autobiography is a great one to pick up. It's the thickest of all the books that I'm sharing, and this is the one that I actually started before the quarantine, and I would just pick it up every few months or every few weeks and read a few chapters when I really needed to sit with a wise man and hear about his life. That's what this book felt like for me. And it felt really encouraging to hear about the development of the different things that happened to him through his own eyes and how he walks us through it. And so I really strongly recommend the book for that. Now, any of these 3 books, I believe, will have a wonderful impact on expanding your horizons, helping you to grow your mindset, doing wonderful things for your life. And as always, I'm constantly looking for and bringing in new nonfiction books that I'm reading to give me more awareness, to help me work with you on your creative potential and expanding more of our lives. And so please, if you have a recommendation for me, I would love to hear below. If you have a book that you've read either by any of these authors or by another author that has really had a great impact on your life, your mindset, going for your goals, nurturing your creativity, I would love to hear about that book, because I may not have heard of it before. Just because somebody is a big name to you and to many others doesn't mean that we've all heard of them. And so it's a lovely way for us to have kind of like a virtual book club of you telling me what you recommend, and I'm telling you what I've recently read and what I recommend. If you are interested in more videos about mindset, I have another video where I share 2 books and I go really in depth about facing your fears and mindset. And I will link that video here. Also, I want to encourage you, on my website, I have a free download for you. You go to my website, soulpioneer.com, you click on the button, and you will get 7 easy ways to lift your spirits by connecting with nature. Also, after that, I send you weekly emails with tools and tips and inspiring action to improve your life. I've had many people say they feel happier because they've been reading my newsletter every week for 1 year or 6 months or however long they've been reading it. It's something that they look forward to enrich and nourish their lives. I also always share in my newsletter, here's my latest video so you can stay connected with that. Sometimes I have free, fun, funky things like Mad Libs for 2020 and other creative elements that I've created that I think that you might enjoy. So I strongly recommend, I'll have the link below if you want to sign up and get that free download on my website. If you enjoyed this video and you love books and you'd like to see more videos from me and want to share this with other people, click the thumbs up button that tells YouTube, share this video, people like it, you like it. All right, have a great day and I'll see you soon.